the second show because the first alphabet went there years and years ago.
Okay.
But it's the first. But that was a British Council touring show.
Right.
It's the first show in a kind of commercial gallery. I imagine it'll be the Paris suite and some of the new prints I've been working on.
Which are bigger found objects?
Yeah, found objects. A new one of 100 Matchbox covers. It's a completely new one.
Right.
But yeah, new found objects and a series. What I've been doing recently. I've had a show in New York and in Venice in the last 2 years, and I've made special pieces. They were the Butterfly Man series, but placed wherever I was going. So I would get postcards. For instance, for Hong Kong, I've got postcards of Hong Kong, scanned them, and put them onto the computer, and then the Butterfly Man and his butterfly troupe we've got on the computer anyway. Right. So I then make the picture.
So then they go to Hong Kong.
Yeah, and then
a bit like the bus, the Duchamp bus or something.
Around, exactly.
Existing in other people's world.
But I then print them out on canvas and stretch them and frame them. So they're like paintings, and they're unique, some of them.
And so who is the butterfly collector?
Well, the Butterfly Man, it started off. I did a piece called Parade, and the Butterfly Man was on a cover of an 18th century music book. So he's actually a composer, but he's holding a little stick, which is handy for the butterfly. So in Parade, he was just one of the characters in the parade, and then he developed as a sort of separate star within the firmament of all my people I paint.
But do you think is he sort of a self-portrait?
No.
He's not?
No.
No, but he collects butterflies, or
they're performing butterflies.
Okay.
He travels with a troupe of performing butterflies.
Okay.
He's dead now,
right.
Because I heard that although Damien in the beginning thought it was amusing, and then I did the series in homage to Damien that was in the 10x5 show. But I think I got the impression from somebody else he might be thinking I'm milking it a bit. And I think I was. So the Butterfly Man is now dead.
But in a way, I suppose, there's that thing of things fluttering around, and this sort of troupe of butterflies does seem to remind me a little bit of the way that you see things you like the look of, but you're not quite sure how you want to use them. You just go around collecting them. Yeah. There's something like the matchboxes, for instance. Yeah. You've been collecting matchboxes for a long time. Yeah. Just because you're...
Well, I collected them anyway and just had a few. And then at the local boot fair, I bought a book of matchboxes, just the covers. And then there was also, I think the same day, there was a man who had a great big suitcase full of them. Right. And I sorted out a couple, and he said, 10p. He said, you can have the lot for 10 quid. So I bought an instant collection of like 1,000 matchboxes. Okay. So we've selected from that. And they're arranged in 10 rows of 10. So you've got 10 vertical ones, and then 10 horizontal ones, then 10 vertical. So it looks like a kind of weaving.
But with the actual designs on the boxes being sort of portrait or landscape?
Both.
Oh, right.
Yes, so the top row, they're portrait, right. Then the next row, they're landscape, and so on. So it makes it like a kind of basket weave, it looks like eventually.
Are they Swedish?
A lot of Swedish, yeah. But these are Chinese, right. Japanese, Swedish. An incredible collection from all over the world.
Because obviously I've used matchboxes, but generally it's quite. I think the one I'm quite keen on is the ship. Right?
Yeah.
I suppose that's because it's sort of a bit romantic.
Well, I used Captain Webb originally.
Right.
You know, I made a wooden sculpture. Yeah. In the 60s sometime. It was a Captain Webb matchbox.
Yes. And so it also, like, it's not just design and objects that repeat, it's also characters and people that kind of
I think so.
Repeat around.
It's like I've described it as a kind of you're almost like a provincial theatre company. You know, the characters come and go. I mean, I remember saying at the end of Ruralism that although the pictures had changed and had become more kind of romantic and more fairy-like, they were exactly the same characters. And at the end of being a ruralist, they went back to being strippers. You know, so it's a cast in my head of people that play various parts.
Yeah.
Duchamp was an important one, his world tour, and that's ongoing. You know, so.
Yeah.
In fact, that's the next one where he meets Robin Hood.
And for your paintings, they do take quite a long time, don't they? So
yeah.
There's quite a lot of there's quite a lot of stages that they go through.
Yeah, and they go over a long period of time because I don't work on them all. You know, I don't start them and finish them.
Yeah.
You know, I put them to one side, and I work on a lot of things at the same time. So some pictures can take many years, but I haven't worked on them all the time. But that's what's so exciting about some of the printmaking. You know, that in contrast to a picture going on like 35 years, you know, I can go in to Coriander Studios with a pocket full of postcards and come out with an exhibition at the end of the day.
It's quite finite, I suppose, isn't it?
Yeah, it is, yeah.
I mean, it's quite interesting as a sort of, I suppose, as a stepping post between just like a found object, like finding something that you're interested in, something that captures your imagination, and then taking that through into being able to use it as a picture, being able to make it into a picture.
I think what the Found Art series is about really is the technology, you know, I took some bits in and we scanned them, and I was so amazed at the accuracy of the scan. Because the camera is virtually touching the object, it's actually seeing more than the human eye can see. So with something like the first flag, it picked up every thread, and the bigger you blow it up, the more detail emerges. Well, this is something quite different from most kinds of printmaking, where there's, I mean, with an etching block, there's deterioration. With almost anything, as you take it bigger, you lose definition. Whereas with these, you more and more appears. So it's as though, almost as though there's a universe of stuff. And the bigger you make it, the more is going to appear. I suppose I've travelled quite a bit with work, but I wouldn't say I was a traveller. I mean, we don't go on holiday, for instance. I mean, the Marcel Duchamp world tour was about a scenario where I was thanking him for saying, you know, anything an artist makes becomes art, or whatever that statement is. So I sent him on this kind of fantasy world tour. So in a way, maybe what they're all about is the world tour that I didn't do.
Right.
I mean, I'm not saying in a frustrated way that I wish I had, but in a way, maybe it is. They are my alter egos going off for me and meeting meeting people and strange things happening.
And I suppose your work is starting to travel in a world way. You know, as you said, you've got a world tour at the moment, a bit with a series of works that now seem to be showing
well, there's
much more international.
Much more with the printmaking, you know, and the whole thing of not showing in New York for all those years by design. You know, now I showed once about 8 years ago. So it's kind of opened that up, you know. So at the moment there's a show in New York, this show in Hong Kong, and a show in Bath, which is an extension of the collections that you know, it's an extension of the Museum of Everything, but it's called A Museum for Myself. It's based on that piece that I made called A Museum for Myself, and it's another part of the collection relating to work as well.
Whereas I think that some of your treasures are obviously treasures partly because you choose to make them, so because you choose to make them true.
Well, treasures by selection almost. I mean, like the matchboxes, a suitcase of matchboxes Well, it had been dumped. Yeah, I mean, whoever collected them, they'd collected them from kind of bars, and railway stations. So, in a way, it was the product of someone else's world tour. I'm anti-gigantism.
Yeah.
If there is such a thing, I'm anti.
But then, in a way, I suppose making it big to test your own.
I'm anti the fascism of gigantism. I'm anti Richard Serra making something that's important because it's heavy.
Yeah.
I'm not against size. I think size is interesting, but to make a small block out of iron so that it becomes important because it's difficult to install. I'm kind of not angry about it. Well, I think what I've done a couple of times is taken something like Brancusi's what's it called, the endless column, and by making it very small, you can make it far more endless because it has more units. So his endless column probably only went to about 18 units, but they were bigger than a man. Whereas my endless columns, the unit's only that size, so they can be 3 times as endless and only be about 10 feet high. Yeah, it's about size, and sometimes, I mean, it relates. Rob was just telling me about your match.
Sculpture, the nail.
The nail, yeah. I mean, that's interesting because you've taken a tiny thing and made it large.
Yeah. And it is a case of trying to scale up something that's quite small.
Yeah.
I suppose.
Whereas I'm taking something that's large and make it smaller to make it larger, if you see what I mean.
I think I'm also trying to make some smaller ones as well.
Yeah. Smaller nails, smaller than they are.
Well, probably about the size at that.